The little things in life can make a big difference. It's why Mobility Works has been helping people connect with who and what matters most since 1997. Our clients have unique needs, so we treat each of them as individuals. First of all, we listen. Then, we work together to find the best solution. Last, we custom fit clients with precisely the right wheelchair accessible solution. Rest assured that our relationship doesn't end there. We stay connected so you remain completely satisfied. With locations across the country featuring the largest selection of accessible vehicles and adaptive solutions, including minivans and full-size vans, SUVs and trucks, wheelchair and scooter lifts, turning and transfer seats, hand controls, wheelchair securement, and docking systems. Call us today to learn more about our selection of accessible vehicles and adaptive solutions.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining us on the second day of our Assistive Technology Week. Today we have Tony Gentry presenting on environmental controls. Dr. Gentry is an assistant professor in the occupational therapy department at VCU. He received his bachelor's in history and literature from Harvard University, his master's in occupational therapy from New York University, and his PhD in instructional technology from the University of Virginia. His career has focused on neurological rehab and assistive technology for people with physical disabilities. Over the past 6 years, he has conducted a series of community-based research projects focused on exploring the efficacy of portable computers as cognitive aids for individuals who have autism, brain injury, and MS. During his presentation, if you have questions, please use the chat feature on Zoom or underneath the comment section on Facebook Live. So now I'm going to hand it over to Tony, and he's going to share his screen.
I'm unmuting and I'm on. Here I am. Okay.
Great.
Let me get my PowerPoint up.
All right.
Okay. Am I up?
You are up.
Here we are. That's where I wanted to start. Are we good now?
Yes, we're good.
Okay. If for some reason something happens while I'm talking, just let me know and I'll slow down, repeat myself, or whatever I need to do. I'm happy to be a part of the conversation here today, and thanks for everyone else for joining. One of the things that I've worked on for a long time, nearly 20 years now, is this idea of smart homes as supports for people with different kinds of disabilities. So I'd like to chat just in the brief time we have today about some of the newer, more affordable technologies that are coming on the market that are available to help us be more functional and more independent and safer in the homes we live in. The concept of smart home is kind of evolving over time, but the way I look at it, the way I teach it to my students is that your house is, to some extent, is an extension of who you are and should act as a kind of assistive technology, whoever we are and whatever we like to do. So a home should be ideally designed for access, security, comfort, and livability. That would be a smart home in my mind. There should be ease of use features. The home should support your own functional independence. And key to this is that all of these supports should be individualized to your own needs and your own interests and your own abilities. As I mentioned before, smart homes are becoming increasingly available and affordable. The trick now is to figure out what you need, what you want to do, and there's probably a solution that can help you get there. Smart homes can improve safety and security. They can assist with mobility, transfers, access to computers and other people. They can automate routine appliance functions. They can allow remote control of home features using a variety of access tools and supports that I want to chat with you about this morning. They provide communication tools, including passive occupant monitoring, if that's something you're looking into. And they can assist with task support, shopping, bill paying, and social interaction. So when we think of smart homes, there's a lot to consider. There's a process you want to follow in thinking through what you would like your home to be able to do to help you. And one of the ways I like to think through that is in a low-tech, mid-tech, high-tech model. Low-tech accessibility tools are things like wheelchair ramps. Mid-tech appliances are things that we all use, like alarm clocks and kitchen timers, things that might be automated or electronic. And then what we typically think about when we see advertisements for smart homes on TV are high-tech devices. These used to be called electronic aids to daily living. And these are the things that we see that control our lights and appliances. I also consider safety features like fire, smoke, water, and injury alarms. And task queuing features that might remind you to do something or keep you on point while you're trying to get through the task of your day. Those might include an automated pillbox, for instance. And then thinking of ways that the home can act to support community outreach and engagement if in fact you're not able to leave your home, as many of us are not during the corona situation. And the questions I typically ask my clients, these are things that you want to walk through yourself as you're thinking through what supports you might want to put in place along the lines of a smart home. Include, it's a good idea to sit down and think about what are your current functional abilities and what are your interests and where are there gaps between the things you want to do and the things that you can do entirely on your own. You also want to think about the human support resources that are available to you. Do you have people that can help you do things that you're not able to do yourself? Are they always available? Are there times when they're not? Would you like to be able to do more things on your own without their support? You want to look at what the home already supplies, what supports you already have in place. Many of us have switches, for instance, that allow us to control our computers, our phones, our tablets. Those switches can be important supports to operate smart home technologies as well. Other things that you look around that might include environmental supports might be mobility and communication supports. You want to look at all the safety concerns in your house. Can you get in and out of your house if you need to? Can you alert someone if something goes wrong? What happens if there's a water leak? What happens if the electricity goes out? These are things to consider, especially around smart home considerations. Can you manage your medication on your own? And then looking through all your activities of daily living, occupational therapists typically think of these things as your everyday activities. Getting up and getting dressed in the morning, grooming and bathing, feeding yourself. I also think about money management, hygiene, those sorts of things. Where do your functional abilities run up against challenges? And of course, financial resources and insurance are a part of this conversation too, because some of these things cost money. And the trick I usually do is I sit down, we have a conversation around all of these items, and we work collaboratively to problem solve solutions one step at a time. This is a basic assistive technology approach to smart home technology. When you're thinking smart homes, however, one of the most important things to think about is what is your best access tool for remote control, because you're going to want to be able to control these devices in some way, and you probably have already thought through what your best switch might be for controlling your computer or your other electronics, and that switch may be the correct switch to control your smart home as well. These pictures just show some of the things we've talked about. On the upper left are low-tech supports like a tub bench and a shower to help with transferring and showering. On the upper right are mid-tech solutions. The third picture on the top is a hydraulic lift that lifts you up that lifts up to allow an easy transfer into a bathtub, and then lifts down to allow you to sink into the bathtub, entirely controlled by the water flow out of your faucet. Electronic bidets, and then on the bottom right is a sort of mid-tech, high-tech device, the open sesame door this gentleman is controlling with a remote control device on his scooter. But probably what we thought we were going to talk about today around smart homes are these devices, the things that control our appliances. And in the time we have allowed, that's what I want to focus on. And the question you asked then is, what in your house can be automated or controlled remotely so that you don't have to cross the room to do it, or that someone else doesn't have to do it for you? Any light or lamp can be remotely or automatically controlled. All of your media equipment, really any appliance with an on and off switch. A lot of people like to have their fans automated that way. Their doors, their window shades, your door locks, your thermostat, your phone, your computer, and as I mentioned before, these passive monitors that can track people through their house. All of these things can be automated or controlled remotely to develop a smart home suite that fits your needs and interests. And the question you asked then is, what do you want to control? In your house, what would you like to be able to manage remotely from where you're sitting? Once you figure that out and you have an idea for the tools that you want to control, then you go back to the question I asked before: what is the best switch for your mobility? I'll show you a few of those in just a minute. Then you want to ask, what is the best transmitter of your command? There needs to be some kind of an connecting module that connects between the switch and the device that you want to control. And then what technology is going to operate the device based on your command? These are all complicated questions. Very briefly, I'm going to touch on each one of them. So, switches. We are fortunate to be living in an age where there are switches that can allow almost anyone with whatever their mobility or sensory or cognitive impairment may be to control a computer, to control a phone, to control a tablet. And that's decision around what kind of switch you want to use is really the key switch, the key decision to make in deciding on your smart home solution. There are tap switches like the one on the upper right, proximity switches that operate without even having to tap. If you simply are near the switch, it'll activate. There are head control switches, sip and puff switches, voice control switches like the Amazon Echo, the Apple HomePod, and Google Home. And there are the one switch that's not listed there on the bottom left. It is called the Bluetooth. It's a Bluetooth connected switch that connects to your computer or your tablet or your phone, and can be operated as a tap switch, or it can be linked to any of the other switches we've talked about to act as an intermediary switch between that switch and the device you're trying to operate. And then just over the last few years, fairly affordable eye gaze technologies have come on the market to allow people who are completely motorically locked in, but who still have control of their eye movement and blink to access and use any of these devices. So the question really is sitting down and thinking through, typically with a therapist, occupational therapists are trained to do this, for instance. What is the best switch for me to allow me to consistently and in an energy conserving way control my computer or my tablet or my phone? And once you've figured that out, you're on the way to figuring out how you're going to control your smart home. Inside I'm going to talk about Apple devices because they have the most robust accessibility settings. Other computer systems have good accessibility settings as well. But in order to operate one of these devices using a switch, you use an accessibility setting called switch control. I'm sure many people listening to me this morning already know about this, but I'm just going to briefly go over it because it's key to being able to use a switch in order to control your smart home. I want to show you a little video, and again, tell me if you can see the video and if you can hear it, please, as I turn this on, because it's a quick video showing how some of these functions operate by an automated wheelchair user named Todd Stablefelt.
There's a lot going on, folks, but I'm called old school. I'm called direct access. So what I'm going to do is explain some buttons and show you some things. Okay, so give me a second here. All right, starting from my left to right, I have buttons. And I'm going to use my tongue, and then you just all got to handle it. Button number 1. It's called move back, move previous. Okay? Middle button, or second button, select. All right? Third button, move next. And get on. Another button on this side for the wheelchair. Another button, wheelchair. Another button, volume down, volume up. Whoop whoop for long press. Water straw for drinking. And it's just water, folks, okay? It's just water. No smell, no tell. Here we go. All right. I'm so glad the front row's laughing. I don't have no idea if any other rows are laughing. Legit. Okay, so if I also want to, I can go into a particular mode in my wheelchair. For Promobile, it's called an iDevice. Now I can use my joystick to drive. Okay? This is legit, people. This is harnessing everybody. You know, the workforce that is disabled, that could be employees if given the opportunity to do so. Thanks, brother. All right, here we go. Now we're just gonna go do some apps and I'm gonna show you some things. So we're good on the face, unless you just wanna stay here, bro, you can keep going. All right. So for example, I'm just sort of navigating a bit so you can sort of see how some of this works. Leveraging all these fantastic apps to do fantastic stuff. Emails, right? I'm not gonna go into my email boxes, people, okay? I'm sorry. But just to show you that, you know, that you can. Right? Scanner menus. I can do everything you can do.
So you can continue to look at those. There are lots of lots of videos on YouTube showing how to use scan and switch controls on your device to navigate the device. At the bottom of the screen here is the Apple's own switch control instructions. I'm not going to open that, but those are written instructions to show you how to use your Apple device to scan around inside apps and, as Todd just said, do anything anyone else can do. So once you figured out what switch you're going to use to navigate inside your device, you are going to need a control module of some kind, and that is the device itself. So that might be your phone, which has an app on it that has access to all of the smart devices that you've connected in your house. It might be a remote control device, or it might be an app inside your computer if you prefer to operate your smart home on your computer. And again, in these cases, you'd be using the scanning function in the accessibility settings on your device and a switch to navigate inside those apps to control your home. The question then is picking out the modules that are going to control the devices in your home. And that's a difficult decision at the moment because there are proprietary radio frequency waves for different companies that develop different devices to operate smart home technologies. I'm just going to walk through a few of them really briefly. The old-timey devices are called X10s. They've been around since the 1960s, and they operate by, they talk to a remote control device and the lamp or other appliance that you want to control through the wiring in your home. They're not super reliable, but they're inexpensive. You're familiar with your TV remote, which is an infrared connecting device and requires you to have visual access of the device you're controlling. And then all of the radio frequency wave access networks, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, and Z-Wave, all operate somewhat differently on different frequencies. There's also a dual channel system called Insteon that operates both through the power lines in your home and with a redundancy that operates through Wi-Fi. Kind of a nice way to have that for safety reasons. And there are now onboard network called threaded devices that create their own Wi-Fi systems once you plug them in. So there's a lot to think about when you're deciding which one of these transmission options to go with. Fortunately, and this should happen in the next year or so, this is kind of revolutionary in the world of business technology, but the large companies that are doing smart home technologies have decided to collaborate and find a way to build systems that communicate, that use all of these communication systems in one, so you won't have to think through, do I want a Z-Wave device or a Zigbee device? Whatever device you get will be able to communicate with your computer and with your switch to control your smart home. You can't do that yet, but within the next year or so, I hope to see the beginnings of that come on the market. And then what you do is you link things up. So you've got the device that you want to operate, in this case, a lamp plug. You've got some kind of switch or control access unit that allows you to turn that lamp on. And in the middle, you have to purchase a module that communicates between your switch and the appliance you want to control. Here's how the Apple Homekit works. This is a fairly inexpensive product. Their products are fairly inexpensive. I'm going to show you the Samsung SmartThings suite as well, as these are the most popular Wi-Fi based smart home networks that are on the market right now. And just walk briefly through how to set these up to show you how easy this is. In order to do this though, you need a home Wi-Fi network. You need an Apple device that's running on one of the later operating systems. If you have one of those, you know already that there's something called a home app on the screen. It's that little orange house app, and it comes on all Apple devices. You see that, then you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or buy from Amazon or wherever, and you purchase an appliance or a device or a connecting module that has this label on it, works with Apple Homekit. You take that home with you, you set it down on the table, get your iPhone or your tablet or your iPad or your computer. On the home app, you tap Add Accessory. You can use the device camera to scan the barcode on the box, or you can follow the instructions on the app. And what you want to do is identify the device you've bought and give it a name. So you might call it living room lamp. And you say where it is. It's in the living room. And then once you've done that, it shows up as an app inside of an app on your screen. And you can navigate to it using the scan function and your switch to turn on and off any of the devices that you've loaded on that screen. You can also set a schedule. They're called scenes, so that the appliances or the lights turn on and off at a particular time of day if you want to do that. One thing about Apple HomeKit, all of those devices are Apple only right now. You don't have to have a Wi-Fi hub to use the HomeKit, but it certainly helps. If you're going to communicate by voice, the Apple HomePod is a pretty expensive way to do that, but that's how you communicate with Apple devices, by voice. Or you can communicate through your phone or through your tablet using Siri. HomeKit is far and away the most secure smart home suite for information sharing. Apple takes some pride in being customer friendly in that way, whereas some of the other companies do not. I want to talk a little bit about the Samsung SmartThings suite. Samsung phones, as you probably already know, operate the Android operating system, and they've customized that to some extent for their own phones. But if you don't have to have a Samsung phone in order to do this. Any Android phone will control your SmartThings devices, and in fact, your Apple phones will control SmartThings devices as well. The trick for this is you get the app just like the Apple on your iPhone. You'd have an app. You get a SmartThings app that you download for free from the internet. You put that on your phone. Then you have to purchase a thing called a hub, which connects to your Wi-Fi network, and that hub then communicates with all of the appliances that you've plugged modules into, so that your smartphone can control any of those appliances via the hub. So just to give you a sense of what these things cost, if to get the app, the hub, control 2 lights, an outlet module for some appliance, and maybe a movement sensor so you'll know that someone's come in or out of the front door, for instance. An Insteon setup would be $190. The SmartThings setup would be $160. If you went with an X10 system, that's $150, and the Apple Homekit system is $80. The reason the Homekit system is cheaper is that the Homekit does not require you to use a hub. Your device itself acts as a hub in this particular smart home configuration. I want to talk just for a minute about monitoring options, because a lot of people want to live on their own. They want to be more independent. They want to be able to be at home alone so that other people that are caregivers can leave home and do other things. So a question we have a lot of times is, how do I do that? How do I make sure that I'm safe and the person I love is safe when I leave home? There are companies that that come to your home as vendors and can set up different kinds of smart home technologies to manage that sort of thing. Quiet Care, Lively Home, and Grand Care are the 3 most important ones in the US. I'm not going to go into them in any detail, but you can look them up online to see if you'd like to have that kind of a system set up for you. Each one of those systems requires a monthly fee, and in some cases insurance will pay for that fee so that you can have the support you need to manage these devices. You can also set these up on the cheap on your own. For instance, these are Samsung SmartThings devices that allow you to monitor your home passively while you're away. And you can see the cost of them. There's a door sensor that checks when a door is open and closed. There's an arrival sensor that you can put on a handbag or put in a glove compartment of a car or in a backpack so that you know when someone's left the house or has come back to the house. And there are motion sensors that can be set up anywhere in the home to trigger when someone, for instance, opens a medicine cabinet or gets out of bed or goes in and out of the bathroom. All of these sensors send messages back to your phone so you can get a sense of whether someone's gotten out of bed in the morning, are they moving through the house, did they take their meds? So a caregiver at a distance can still keep an eye on someone without intruding on them using these motion sensors as part of their smart home suite. And the sensors can go wherever you think might be appropriate to track the person you're trying to track. Living spaces, the garage door. The arrival sensors can be in a key ring or a bicycle or a backpack. Doorway sensors can be anywhere you want to cleverly think about someone's daily routine. Maybe the front and back doors, the bathroom door, a medicine cabinet, a refrigerator. Those are all places that might allow you to get a sense of how someone is spending their day without having to observe them intrusively. And again, just looking at the expense of these things, I put together a little suite of devices that would work for someone with mobility impairments. Again, you'll come up with your own strategy and your own decisions, but just to give you a sense of what these things might cost. I'm using an iPhone or an iPad with the free app. I'm also using the Insteon Hub and an Apple TV. So I've gotten a couple of expensive hub-like devices to go with. I'm using 3 motion sensors so I can make sure that someone's getting up out of bed in the morning and doing their daily routine safely. For safety purposes, I've put in a smart smoke alarm and carbon monoxide detector, automated thermostat, ceiling fan, smart outlets for 2 lamps. And I want to comment just for a minute on this other device that I've included, which is a smart garage door opener. Many of us who use wheelchairs, I don't use a wheelchair, but I'm speaking of all of us, for all of us. But if you want many people coming into your house, the easiest way to get in your house is through the garage because there's typically no step to get into the garage. And if you already have an automatic, an electronic door to open and close your garage, connecting that to your smart home suite and running it off of your phone or off your tablet can be a very inexpensive way to control access in and out of your house. Those open sesame doors that open your front door for you, they cost more than $1,000. And you can see this oldie garage door opener is only $120. So if you want to use a remote to get in and out of your house and inexpensively, having a remote control door opener that's operated as a part of your smart home suite can be an easy way to do that. If in fact you can get into your house in your wheelchair without having to navigate a step through the garage. And the cost of all these things put together is under $1,000. And that allows you to access your home through the garage, control 2 lights or appliances, auto manage your thermostat, auto manage an overhead fan, voice control your television, broadcast safety alerts to your loved ones, and passively monitor your home. All of these functions can also be automated using the Apple TV if you're an Apple user, so that you can do these things when you're on vacation as well. So the one additional cost, and this can be an expensive cost, is once going back to what we started talking about this morning, what switch are you going to use to access your tablet, your phone, or your computer in order to operate all of these appliances? So once you figure that out, you'll need to add that cost to whatever, to that $923 number or whatever number you come up with. There are other smart home things that I'm not going to get into because there seems to be thousands of them, but I do want to comment that it's a good idea to automate your bill paying, to automate grocery ordering and delivering, at least for routine groceries that are delivered to your house. There are devices that will water your plants for you, that will feed your cat and your dog for you. Many people use the robot vacuum cleaner of one kind or another. Lots of choices there. And then there are also safety devices that are important to consider when you're looking at smart home technologies. This is a stovetop monitor that turns your stove off if you walk away for too long. There are tub overflow monitors, automatic coffee pot. I like the idea of motion activated lighting in the home for safety reasons. You may want to consider some kind of window escape system or some other easy access escape system, and some kind of medical alert medallion, an Apple Watch, some device that allows you at a moment's call to reach out to someone else if there's a problem. So to wrap up, smart home features ideally involve universal design for easy access in a wheelchair or other mobility support. They should allow you to simplify and organize your energy conservation strategies throughout your home. They should support mobility through durable medical equipment and adaptive devices, these low-tech tools that we briefly mentioned. You'll want to automate and remote control some of your appliances and lights. Consider safety features and alarms. Consider automating bill paying, groceries, and those, etc. Consider passive monitoring for when a caregiver is away from home and wants to get a sense of how things are going. These are all the kinds of things I like to think about as part of the conversation in developing a smart home suite. Last thing to keep in mind about all of these tools, they're getting cheaper, they're getting more fully featured every day, and for the first time in my career of working with these tools, I'm seeing them becoming almost affordable for most of us. So that's it for my chat today. I'm happy to take questions as we go.
Thanks so much, Dr. Gentry. So we did have one question on Facebook while you were presenting. It was on the Bluetooth control device. Can you talk more about that?
Bluetooth, yeah. I think you're talking about the Bluetooth. It's called the Blue, color blue 2, which is TOO, and it's an AbleNet device. That's the company that sells it. They have a website that allows you to purchase it there. And what's cool about it, it communicates with your computer or with any of your Bluetooth devices, your phone, your tablet, your computer. And once you've connected it to that, and you turn on the scanning feature in your accessibility settings, then you can navigate through inside your device simply by tapping one button or another button. You can use both buttons or one or the other. You can also plug in whatever other switch you're using and operate that as a intermediary switch between your own switch, let's say a sip and puff device, and use that to communicate with your tablet or your phone. It operates either way. They're really nice videos on YouTube that show how the Bluetooth system operates.
And thanks for answering that question. And another question is Alexa an option?
Yeah, I call it the Amazon Echo, but Alexa is Amazon's voice assistant. The challenge with any voice assistant is you have to be able to speak clearly and articulately in a quiet environment for it to understand you. So that's always going to be a challenge for many of us in the home environment. But yeah, any voice control, the Siri, Alexa, or the Google Home voice control, all of those things can be used as switches to navigate your smart home in the same way that any other switch might be able to do that.
All right. And we also had a comment that everything was great and they wanted to thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to post them in Facebook, or if you're on Zoom, you can do the Q&A. We'll stick around for a little bit just to see if there's any more questions.
And you can also reach out to me if you'd like. On my VCU email, it's logentry@vcu.edu. I'd be happy. I get email questions a lot, and I'm happy to answer them. Ray, should I unshare?
Yeah, you can go ahead and share it. It's all right. I don't think we have any more questions. So thank you so much for presenting. It's definitely a little different. I think our chapters sometimes focuses more on that Alexa and Google Home. So it's really great just to have, there's a lot of alternatives out there. So
yeah, and one of the challenges I found with the Alexa and the Google Home and all those the voice control devices is lots of folks with ALS lose really good articulate voice control over time, and I trust another kind of switch often for those folks. So I'm glad I had an opportunity to talk about those kinds of switches.
Yeah, it's great. And we'll be back not this afternoon. We don't have anything scheduled for this afternoon, but for tomorrow at 11 a.m. We'll be talking about voice banking. And then at 1 o'clock, we'll have another presentation for Model Talker, they're going to kind of talk about how to do that process with their software. So
and it's going to be on your Facebook page?
Yes, it'll be on the Facebook Live, and we'll also have the same Zoom link for anyone who attended through Zoom.
Great program. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and your help and your presentation.
Okay,
and
I'm leaving.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, take care.
Thanks.